Welcome once again to a Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache and we're looking at a petty / paring knife. This is the Murata Western or Yo handled blue #1, little unusual steel, petty 80mm knife. So the core steel on this is Owlgami or Blue Paper #1 reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi. Heat treat's about 63 to 64 Rockwell, so they push it pretty hard on the heat treat. So you're not usually too hard on these style of knives, so this will give you some increased edge retention. The construction is 3 layers, so they have a reactive soft iron cladding on either side of that blue #1 core, and they've got a Kudauchi finish, and they've also got lacquer on top of that. With the lacquer, you could let wear off, or you could take it off with some acetone nail polish remover if you wanted to. Right off the bat, your choice. The out of the box edge on this was pretty good. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It was pretty sharp, decently formed edge, although you could definitely get it sharper. The weight and dimensions will vary a little bit from knife to knife on these. This particular one is 73 grams or 2.6 ounces. The edge length is about 85 millimeters or 3.3 inches, and the overall length is about 7.6 on this knife. The spine thickness is, this is a fairly thick and it's a really stout blade. So let's bring it in here a little bit. Come on, macro, there we go. So it's about 2.1 coming out of the handle, and then I measured it down here is about 1.75. And then it actually, when you run your fingers over it, it even thickens up right here before you hit that grind at the very tip. So not uncommon actually on a lot of these style of knives, these hand hammered. So this is a very stiff knife. You can see it's got a really cool look to it. You've got a little bit of hammered kind of texture, undulations, fairly smooth Kudauchi finish. You've got some, looks to be chiseled kanji to me. It's very small, but it looks hand chiseled. Nice touch on this blade. The bolster is one of these kind of pin style bolsters, so it's not a continuous piece of metal. So blade height is 23.7 millimeters. The handle is a black packawood, stabilized wood handle. Nice fit and finish on that. Everything's smooth, full tang construction. This has a fairly meaty kind of feel to the handle on it. And again, very stiff knife. Let's see, balance point is going to be back by that first rivet, about right there. So let's bring in some other knives. This has a very cool kind of handcrafted vibe to it, because it is handcrafted, but it's got that, you know, kind of a lot of rustic, refined rustic feel to it. So let's bring in some other knives. Paring / petty knives are some of the hardest knives to really find a good fit for you in terms of how you like to hold it, what your hand sizes are, what your preferences are. So anyway, so let's bring in some options just to show you some shapes. So this one has kind of a slightly opened area here that's got a good spot to stick your finger. The spine has got a little bit of relief to it. The choil is got a little bit of relief, although for my knife I'd probably sand that down just a touch more depending on how you use the knife. Sometimes I'll choke up on it. I put my finger right there and then you've got a spot for that. So this does give you a nice little spot for your finger without riding up too easily on the corner to get cut. You can pinch it real easy. It's got a nice shape to the blade. It's easy to kind of lock into your finger. Pretty standard Western or Yo shape to it. So compare that to some other style of blades like the Shun Classic 3.5. You can see that doesn't have a whole lot of choil height to it, so it's a little harder to stick your finger there without riding up on that heel. So just a little different style. Not better, not worse, just different. Let's see, here is the Kohetsu VG10 Damascus. I just finished doing this one, but again, not a real big spot there for your middle finger to, if you want to choke up on. A little different style blade. Tojiro DP 90mm. You can see it's got a very flat edge profile, but it's got a nice gentle curve there to stick your finger in there if you're choking up. Here's a traditional Euro style paring knife. Back before I knew how to sharpen, so scratch the you-know-what out of it. This one's seen some uses, including some abuse by someone in the family. We won't say who. So let's kind of pull these back off again. So this knife is got a real confident, stiff feel. The tip's not real skinny, so it's not going to be great for super tiny stuff. You can see the difference of the tip thickness here on this Tojiro DP 90 versus that. So, this is not going to be a super skinny tip for, slicing wafer thin pieces of garlic or something like that, but it's got a nice stout feel. It's pretty much seems like about a 50-50 grind on it, and it's just a really cool knife. So if you're looking for an all-reactive pairing / petty knife with some neat characteristics to it, this is a pretty cool blade. So there we have the Murata Westerner Yo Blue No. 1 petty 80mm knife.